Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am Sam, and today I am being punished. I am being attacked and harassed by my good friend Daphne over at Being Daphne, who tagged me in the fantasy romance reader tag. I don't know what this tag is called, but I have been tagged to do it, and by golly, am I going to do it. A little bit begrudgingly, because I'm not a giant fantasy romance reader. Now, let me clarify. I love fantasy romance, especially fantasy subplot romance, but slowly I'm getting into more fantasy big plot romance. Like, I don't dislike it, I just don't read it very often. But this is going to be a tag video as well. At the end, I'm going to go over my potential hopeful TBR for the 72 hours in the smut den. I have a lot of options, so that's good, but also terrifying. So we will talk about that closer to the end. But for now, let's jump into these tag questions. I'm a little worried. So the first one is, what book got you into romance fantasy for the first time? Now, I've been reading, like, romance fantasy on, like, very light fantasy romance from a younger age, like Storm Siren. I'm sure there was some romance in there, things like that. I have definitely read along the way, but it wasn't until I read A Dowry of Blood where I read some adult fantasy romance, if you know what I'm saying. And it was a really great experience. A Dowry of Blood is one of my all-time favorite books. I thought it was going to be near me, but it's not. I love it. I will curse myself for the rest of my days for not having the paperback indie published cover, but it's okay. I'm so incredibly happy to have read A Dowry of Blood. It is fantastic. It is a book that I will come back to time and time again, I am sure. It's fantastic. It is a Dracula's Bride retelling from, like, a toxic relationship point of view. It is masterfully done. Also very steamy in, like, the best way possible. We love a polyamorous vampire book. It's so good. But I would say that's kind of the first one that I really dipped my toes into. And then I was like, ah, yes. Smutty vampire fantasy romance book. I might be into this, because I also read Black Sunshine by Karina Hall. In that audiobook, I did not sleep while listening to it. I went through the whole night, mostly in shock and also pure enjoyment. It was a crazy time, to say the least. So yes, I've read those. Anywho, if I could pick up one fantasy world to move to, if I could pick one fantasy world to move to for the rest of my life, what world would I move to? 1,000% I would move to the Meat Mishap series world. I don't know what the world is called, sorry, but there's currently 2 main books, one holiday book, and then one bonus following the first couple. But it's such cozy fantasy smut romance, because there is these relationships. There's so much humor in it. There's high stakes, but it's still somehow cozy. Very food focused. Everyone is just wonderful. It's so, I don't know. That would be the place. It's, like, very chill while also dragons and typical fantasy things. I don't know how to explain it any better, but oh, I love it. That's where I would be. Mostly for, like, the village town atmosphere. Question number 3, if I could marry one bookish hero or heroine, who would it be? I've recently just finished reading the first and second book in Bow Before the Elf Queen by J.M. Curl. I just finished those books and I really love Thane. I also really love Leola. I would be down for either of them. She'll come back later at the end though. But I really like Thane. He's great. Who else do I like? The thing is that I don't really, like, simp over characters too much. And if I do, I often forget. So I'm not, like, the best at being this option. I think also just because I am coming from a book high of Bow Before the Elf Queen, that's kind of all that's like in my brain. So for now, I will just stick with Thane. Question number 4. If I could be one fantasy creature or magical being, what would I be? 1000% I would be an elf. Like, there is no question about it, no ifs, ands, buts, nothing. I love elf characters. If I'm doing D&D stuff, it's an elf character. If I'm writing a fantasy book, there's elf characters. If I'm playing a video game, I'm an elf. Like, there is just no other option. That is my tried and true. I love elf characters. They're just so fun and I relate to them the most. Number 5, if I could kill off one fantasy romance character, who would I kill off? This question is really hard for me because, again, I don't feel super strongly about the books that I've read yet. Just because, again, I've not read a lot of fantasy romance, and so there's very few that I'm like, yes, you should absolutely die. You suck. That feels like a spoiler though, so maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know. I don't feel passionately enough about any of them. I suppose, like, the villain in Black Sunshine, I don't remember his name, but he was a pain. I did not like him whatsoever. He was so annoying. But I don't feel like super strongly about any particular character at this time. Come back to me when I'm in the midst of the 72-hour smut den if I feel differently. Number 6, what fantasy romance character do you truly believe would be your IRL best friend? I'm picking Layala for this. I love her character. I love their banter. I love the, like, sarcastic humor that they have together. It's very reminiscent of the way that I talk to my people that I care and love. That's part of my love language, is like the sarcasm and the banter. So I really related to that, and she's just such a badass. Like, she is so freaking cool, and I respect the hell out of her. She's kind of dumb at times. She's not like the best, but I really like her, so I think we would be cool. Number 7, what would your fantasy weapon of choice be? I would absolutely pick a bow. I know that's not very exciting in the like the big picture of fantasy weapons, but anytime we play like Skyrim or World of Warcraft, I am using a bow. Hunter characters with bows are my favorite. Skyrim, I can nail any bad guy with a bow. You give me anything else though, it's like 50-50 if I'll survive, but I can shoot a bow. Now you give me a shooter game, can't do that. I don't know what it is, but shooter games are much harder for me to do than shooting a goblin or whatever in Skyrim. I don't know what the bad guys are. It's been too long since I played. But like, I can shoot a mage just fine with a bow and arrow. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, that would be my choice. I love bows. Don't like them in real life. They're very hard to shoot. They require so much muscle, and I have not shot one since probably like the 5th grade, but. Number 8, who is the sexiest fantasy romance character of all time? I'm also gonna go with Thane for now. Because not only does he treat Layala real good and like worship the ground that she walks on, like he gives her his all, which I really love and appreciate, but also like he is just hot. And he's like sarcastic and funny and witty. He talks dirty in front of way too many people, which is not great for me. But overall, like, he's just such a fun character, and he's very well-rounded in the attributions of people I would like. Is that the right word? I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I really enjoy him. I think he is a fun, attractive love interest. Anywho, number 9, pick one fantasy romance book to burn. I'm so sorry to literally everybody, but I will be burning Daughter of No Worlds. This just didn't work for me, and it's working for so many people, which I'm so happy for them. It's just not something that I cared enough about. It was way too slow paced. I didn't believe their romance because I feel really bad for a girl who's been through a lot of trauma and meets one decent and nice man out of the entire world. There's one nice guy, and he's also her mentor, which gives like a weird power dynamic. But mostly like the fact that like he is the bare minimum of a nice guy that you can get, and that's like the best there is in the entire world, and it's just like, it's not believable enough for me. So yeah, I didn't really like the romance. I thought the passionate steam at the end was nice, but it just didn't really work for me because I'm not a super big like steamy romance reader, and when I'm in there, I don't want it to feel like I'm peeping in through someone's window seeing something I shouldn't be. Like, I don't want to be a fly on the wall for that scene. Similar thing happened when I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I also didn't want to be there for that scene. I just felt like it was too intimate and I shouldn't have been there. So I'm very particular about my smut scenes. And that one just like also did not work for me. So that would be the book I would burn. Question number 10, if I could choose one fantasy romance book. No, I can choose one. It's the only book you will ever be able to read again. What is it? It would be the Mean Mishap series. I love those books. Those are like cozy, fantasy, smutty romance. Cozy smut. So good. I recommend. And then question number 11, which is the last one. If you could recommend one fantasy romance book to a reader that was new to the genre and wanted to try it out, what would it be? I'm not in the position to really give an answer because I don't read a lot of this, but I would say if you are coming from the fantasy side of the genre, I would recommend something like Bow Before the Elf Queen or the Mean Mishap series, because it is heavy fantasy with a lot of romance, but there's so much fantasy and plot going on that it's very easy to fall into and kind of get used to. Or maybe even something like the Paper Girls, Girls of Paper and Fire trilogy, because it's still very plot focused, but there's the subplot of romance, and that I feel like is a very easy way to kind of step into it and get used to it. But I would also say if you're coming from the romance side, depends on if you're like contemporary romance or if you're smutty romance. If you're smutty romance, you're probably adapt to jump into any type of fantasy just fine, because if it's a monster or if it's a magical creature, like, that's rather simple to like read if you're already used to the smut, just because like that's pretty common. But if you're coming from like the contemporary side of romance and you want to dip your toe into fantasy romance, I would say you would want something lighter. And I don't know if I have like a proper answer for that, because I don't really read that. Maybe something like The Wrath and the Dawn, because although it's fantasy, there's not too much fantasy going on. Like, there is magic, but you don't see a whole lot of it. It's a lot of like training, which feels contemporary, like warrior stuff. The Caliph is wonderful. I've tabbed my favorite line in the whole world said by the main character. She's incredible as well. This is also one that I would reread over and over again because I've already reread it once. But yeah, maybe this one, I don't know if I'm in the correct position to be able to offer up a starting point for like more romance readers. If you are a fantasy reader, I can definitely help ease you into that world, but I don't read enough romance as is. So yes, those are all of the questions. If I would tag anybody, it would probably be Melody, because her and I have very similar tastes. So I know that she reads a lot of like YA fantasy romance, where a lot of the fantasy has like romance subplots, but she does also read contemporary romance. So I guess I'll tag Melody if she wants to do this. Go for it. If anybody else wants to do this, consider yourself tagged. Let me know if you decide to do this. I will watch your video. But yeah, that's the tag. It's a lot of fun. I'm not I get a little shy. Not shy, but like a little like I don't like talking about it. But I guess that's a great segue into not talking about romance, because some of the romance picks that I have for the 72-hour Smut Den readathon are alarming. So let's just jump into this. I have a very large TBR in mind, not so much because I think I can read all of them, but because there's a spinner wheel that's going to kind of give me prompts in which I go based off. So I'm just hoping that there's enough that I can fill stuff in. One that I really want to get to is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by the same author who wrote Daughter of No World. I know, I didn't like that one. Why am I reading this one? Because I have no chill. But I think I'm gonna like this one more. There's vampires. It feels a bit more fantasy romance rather than contemporary with a dash of romance or fantasy romance. So I think I could just like this one in general more, which I am excited. I have the Kindle Unlimited ebook as well as the Audible exclusive audiobook, so that's gonna be great. Another option is the Mindfuck series. I don't know if I'm gonna be brave enough to start that one, but it is a contender of things that I'm peeking at. But one that I really would like to get to is going to be The Sinner and the Scholar. This is by Lana Petrusek. I pronounced that wrong. I know I did. I'm so sorry. This is book 1 of the Sinner Sisterhood. I don't know a lot about it, I'm going to be honest, but I've seen it on my Bookstagram so much. And so I've been very interested. It sounds very interesting. So that's definitely one that I want to get to. It's on the shorter side. I think it's less than 300 pages too. And it's on Kindle Unlimited. So I was like, yes, please. Yes, please. But the books that I own, one is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I've been wanting to get to this for so long, and Adeline says that there's like a little bit of smut, not a lot, but like a little steam. I wouldn't say smut. I'd say it's more steamy than it is spicy, but she does say there's a little bit in there, and all of them are luckily over 18, so like it's not a worry. But I have the audiobook and it's going to expire soon, so I just want to get to that, and if it fits a prompt well, then great. I also have the sequel to The Wrath of the Dawn. This is The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh. This is the sequel. I need to read this so bad. I've already reread The Wrath of the Dawn in preparation for this. I'm so excited. Is there steam in this? Probably not. It is YA. Look how pretty. It's YA. I don't think there's gonna be smut or steam, but I really want to read this because I just love and adore this world and the characters, and the way that the book ends, I need to know what happens, and like, you know, the typical fantasy romance of the couple gets split up, are they gonna reconnect, what's gonna happen, I just need to know. So if I can figure that out, great. I also have here the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I have already started this. I've been making my progress, so I want to continue and get it finished and done with. It's so far. I'm not like loving it. I'm not hating it. But I know this is primarily fantasy with a very small romance in it, but there's a lot of different types of characters, and I think there's only one romance plotline throughout that like has any impact on anything. So I am interested in that, but again, I doubt there's any steam, but at the same time, I believe this is adult fantasy. But this is the published edition. This is not the independently published, so I don't know if there was steam and now there's not. I'm not really sure, but it is on the list. We will see, we will see. And then these next two, I know have some steam. First is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This is kind of the talk of the internet, of the book sphere. This is like the most popular book. Everybody wants to read it. It is fantasy because it's a dragon riding academy where you learn to ride dragons or you die. But I do know that there is a romance that everybody is simping over that I'm very, I need to know. I need to be on the inside of this. And I've continuously had to put this off for other things. So I'm excited to finally pick this up with its beautiful dragons. I'm so excited. I have very high hopes for this, so I will be reading it, fits a prompt or not. And then finally, I think I'm buddy reading Serpent of the Wings of Night with Eliza, Daphne, and I think Melody, which is really exciting. And I think Eliza and I are kind of buddy reading this. I don't think it's official or anything, but she ended up getting a copy. This is Haunting Adeline by H.G. Carlton. I've been 50 pages in for some time. I really would like to finish this. It's a rather quick read because the font is medium size, but there's also like letters throughout. This is a dark romance. This is a stalking romance. I don't know how much fantasy is in this, but I've been really meaning to pick this back up and jump back into it. I don't know how to feel or what to expect, but nonetheless, here we are. This is probably like the most unhinged romance that I think I have on my TBR. Besides maybe like the Mindfuck series. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm excited nonetheless. I think that this is going to be a very fun weekend. So when you are seeing this, I will be starting this TBR. It'll be Thursday, the first day of the 72 hours in the Smut Den. In the United States, Monday is a holiday, so I will be off that day and I will be extra reading. I think the 72 hours in the Smut Den I will be doing for the 72 hours, but then I think after that I will just read whatever else is on my TBR that I can squeeze in that I'm interested in and then call it good. But I'm very excited for so many of these. I think it's gonna be so much fun. So yes, it's gonna be a great time reading these books. I won't be weird at all. But yes, that is everything. Oh, one last thing. Oh no, my hair. Another book that I need to look into is released, is that today? No, tomorrow. It's released tomorrow and it's on Kindle Unlimited. It is A Ship of Bones and Teeth, a dark fantasy pirate romance by Karina Hall, who I adore, as we've established in the tag portion. I really need to get back into reading Karina Hall. I didn't have Kindle Unlimited until more recently, and I didn't want to purchase all of these books. I think I'm going to at this point because I think I'm a fan. But I need to finish the Black Sunshine duology and read the companion and then like try the other stuff. But this is a standalone fantasy romance about pirates. It's like a Little Mermaid, I think, retelling. So that is also on the list of books that I hope to read this weekend. We will see. We will see. I know I won't read a lot of these, but I'm still hopeful. I'm just very excited. I've been really enjoying reading. I hope your reading has been going well. Are you participating in the 72 hours in the Smut Den? Let me know. I'm ecstatic. I cannot wait. I'm really excited to see what prompts are on the spinner wheel and what I'm able to get. I will be vlogging the entire experience, so that vlog will likely be out Tuesday. Sunday I have a book haul coming for you guys. It's just a great grand time. I'm very excited. So happy reading. I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye!